Hey everyone. Yeah, try to do this again, but I wanted to give my thoughts on the fact that Kevin Owens tonight, or last night, depending on how you watch this, won the WWE Universal Championship. I mean, there was a lot of people that were betting on him. Bill Apter, several people, were hoping this would happen. But they also kept, I'm pretty sure, reserved of WWE going in another direction. Several of them, like Deluxe Man, I'm sure Apter and others pretty much thought, well, Big Cass is in there, they're going to give it to Cass. And the way I look at it is, when you take a look at involving Cass so early on in his main WWE career, I mean, yeah, he's been up there since about WrestleMania, since after WrestleMania. So he's been with the main roster for about, let's see, April, May, June, July, August, so about April, May, June, July, August, so about 5 months now. So in a sense, it kind of makes, so in a way, what I'm trying to say is, in a way, it kind of makes sense for him to be involved in this. I mean, when Enzo went down with the concussion, they put him on a singles push, and obviously this is where they want to go with him. And I think that's what's going to happen. I think before this year's out, he and Enzo might be the tag team champions. Not saying they will be, but I can also see him probably getting a singles championship before this year's out, and I can see him probably be becoming the United States champion, which would be like the starting point towards that Universal Championship down the line. Now, as far as Kevin Owens winning, again, a lot of people were hoping for this because even with Big Cass in there, and along with Rollins and Reigns, he was the only legitimate other choice. Rollins has had championship gold before, has been at the top of the heap, so has Reigns, and Owens is basically a guy that fans have been wanting, and never thought he would get it, but here he is. He's now the Universal Champion, and the way they did this kind of intrigues a lot of people because they had Triple H come out, they had him attack and pedigree Roman Reigns, made it look like, in a sense, that the Authority was going to get back together, but then he ends up going to pedigree. What I'm trying to say is that he ends up going and pedigreeing Seth Rollins and helping Kevin Owens. So the question is exactly what's going to happen here. A lot of people are wondering, is Owens and Triple H going to be baby faces because of this? Is Rollins going to remain heel? Is Stephanie going to go heel with him? What's happening? And my initial thought on it is, we'll just have to wait and see. I mean, there was a lot of fans that were chanting he deserved it to Kevin Owens when he won. So, we'll just have to wait and see what occurs here. But my thought is, this opens the door, because if you start Kevin Owens off as a heel, which they could probably do, or probably will do, he could be portrayed as the kind of heel that either you're Mick Foley or you're Stephanie McMahon. You could tell him, hey, you're going to defend tonight on Raw, you're going to defend every night. He's going to be the kind of heel that's going to find a loophole and say, nah, I'm not going to defend, I'm not going to put my body at risk every night or every week on Raw to defend this title. No, I'm going to defend it on the big paydays, on the big shows like Clash of Champions, Hell in a Cell, Survivor Series, TLC, you name it. If they book him as a heel champion that would rather defend on the big events like pay-per-views and not defend in between there, but compete maybe like in tag matches or whatever, or just non-title matches, I could see that working. Because in a sense, you legitimately get him a little bit of heat, but you also bring legitimacy to that new championship, to the Universal Championship, which you want to do, because then it makes people want to tune into the network, subscribe to the network, probably pay $59 or $49 on a pay-per-view just to see someone try to get that belt away from him and be the kind of champion that would defend every night, would defend on Raw every week. So I think that might be where they go with Owens as a heel, as someone that defies authority, if you will, and rather just defend it when he wants to defend it, basically on the big paydays, which are like, in this case for Raw, which is Clash of Champions, Hell in a Cell, Survivor Series, and I think TLC. So I can see Kevin Owens being portrayed like that, but I can also see him being like a CM Punk like champion. In other words, he spends the majority of first half of his reign, if they keep the belt on him for quite some time, he spends the majority of his reign as a heel, and then slowly something happens down the line that turns him into a babyface. I can see them doing that. Now, what I also see possibly with this opening a lot of doors is if they go with a Rollins babyface turn, that works. You know, Rollins will want to face Owens, and Owens can be the kind of champion that tries to get himself disqualified or counted out at things like the Clash and Hell in a Cell and all that, because he doesn't want to lose his title. He wants to keep it as long as he can, and then that sooner or later is going to catch up with him, and he's going to end up losing it, but we don't know to who yet. Will it be Rollins at Clash? It might be. You know, sometimes they do these title changes just like they did with Sasha, these title victories, just like they did with Sasha, to pop a rating, to get people to tune in. So I would not be surprised if they end up giving the belt to Rollins at the Clash. I wouldn't be surprised by that. But if they play it smart, they'll want to wait, because it opens the doors. And if you're planning on doing a Rollins Triple H feud going into Survivor Series, that works too. Now the question is, what can you come up with for reasoning? You know, maybe Triple H is sick and tired, you know, got fed up with Rollins failing him. Maybe he's going to blame Rollins for the fact that he had to go into the main event of WrestleMania as champion. That basically, because Rollins got injured, he basically had to pick up the slack for him when he was supposed to be their guy, their champion, their chosen one. And yet now he's the one that had to pick up the ball and everything. Maybe he blames him for what Reigns did to him at TLC last year and not being there. I don't know. So something's going to come out about it. And you know, if it's a babyface thing with Triple H, then there's got to be a reason. Like maybe he's sick and maybe he doesn't want the authority. Maybe it's Triple H that doesn't want the authority to come back, because it's not really their idea for the authority to be around. It's Vince's idea, and Vince is too stubborn, that being Stephanie's father, to see the future, to see the fact that it's about those that go in the ring and not those that have those certain looks. You know, I'm just saying. So, you know, we'll just have to wait and see. But again, like I said, it kind of opens the door, in a sense, for a lot of opportunities for future, you know, Owens defenses. You know, like I said, you start him off at Rollins, and then you probably have 1 or 2 matches between him and Rollins. You have you have him start off with Rollins, and then you start him off maybe with his next challenger being Sami Zayn. Now you might say, well, Sami really isn't in the picture that much right now. This is the opportunity to do it. This is the opportunity to do it, because then you can have Sami come out, confront Owens for being a champion that doesn't care about the people and should prove he's a fighting champion by defending every night and every week and all that. And you could lead toward maybe a Zayn Owens Hell in the Cell match, which would be the first part to probably escalating over into a match at WrestleMania down the line. Not saying that's going to happen, but you never know. So we'll just have to wait and see. But those are possibilities. I know one thing I read online is they want to make Brock Lesnar champion. This is something I read online, that they do plan to put the belt on Lesnar. So I can see Mick Foley and Stephanie, maybe from a storyline perspective, if she's not a heel in line with Triple H, that is, I could see from a storyline perspective Brock Lesnar getting a title shot against Kevin Owens at the Rumble, and Kevin Owens literally getting destroyed and everything until maybe it sets up a Goldberg return. We don't know. But something, because, you know, either they give the belt to Lesnar at the Rumble or they don't. You want to build towards that, and you want to show that that Owens, you know, he might be able to go toe-to-toe with everybody else, but when it comes to someone like Brock, not even Kevin Owens can beat him. Without help, that is. So I think if Owens does have a long title reign, or a lengthy title reign, it's going to be to at least the Royal Rumble if they decide to pull the trigger and put the belt on Lesnar. I could see that. Um, will they ever give it to Cass? Absolutely. This is the way I look at it. If Owens proves his worth all the way up to WrestleMania, and even to the point that he surpasses WrestleMania as champion, or to WrestleMania, I could see maybe Big Cass winning the Royal Rumble, probably getting a shot at WrestleMania and becoming champion there if they don't do Sami Zayn Owens instead. No, Sami Zayn Kevin Owens instead. And I know there's a lot of people like the Schleg Daddy that don't want to have to realize, oh my God, this whole Kevin Steen El Generico thing has become so huge. It's gone, from being just an indie Ring of Honor like feud, an indie feud based in Ring of Honor and PWG and all that, to now it's main eventing WrestleMania. But again, it's like I said in one video as to why they were doing this. They're building this up. WWE sees money in this feud. They see reactions that fans will. They see the reactions of the fans, and they see fans will stay with this feud. They will keep their eyes on the ring. They will be on the edge of their feet during the matches, and they will get behind both guys. They see basically money right there, and I think that's one of the reasons they made Owens champion, so that eventually when he does drop the belt, if it's not to Seth, if it's not to Brock, not to Big Cass, or Roman Reigns, or whoever, that when he gets to WrestleMania and he drops it to Sami Zayn, it's going to get a huge reaction, because this is basically the culmination of both men getting to where they want to get and showing that this El Generico Kevin Steen feud that started in Ring of Honor and on the Indies and PWG and everything, and has continued on in WWE through NXT and Monday Night Raw and all that, is worth something. It's worth having these guys on the roster. It's worth having these guys as the two top guys for your brand. So honestly, this is what I'm hoping. I'm hoping Kevin Owens, I hope WWE doesn't screw this up. They keep the belt on Owens as long as they can. And I see him, if they keep it on him into at least WrestleMania, which I'm sure a lot of people are hoping, but knowing WWE, they may not, he drops it to Sami Zayn at Mania in Orlando. That is what fans want to see. So my thoughts are overall, I'm happy Kevin's got it, and hopefully they'll do something with it and go from there, and we'll just have to wait and see. But the one downside though is, a lot of people, even though they're happy Kevin's got the belt, I will say this: the Universal Championship, that's just a stepping stone to the World Championship held by Dean Ambrose. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. The Universal Championship is a new title. It doesn't have the lineage or the history that the WWE World title has. So, to me, it's basically a stepping stone to the WWE Championship. That's what I see. I see it basically being what the World title was at times, for certain guys like a CM Punk and a Daniel Bryan. I see it being that next step to the main title that's been the figure title, the figurehead championship of WWE for the past 50, 60 years. So that's what I see with the Universal title. Even though it does make him one of the top champions in the company right now, one of the champs in the company, I just see it as a stepping stone for him, because this to me is WWE's way of saying, hey, you're Universal Champion now, maybe the next step will be the World title for you. We'll just have to wait and see. But let me know what you guys think down below about Kevin Owens winning. Where do you think WWE will go with it? And I'll talk to y'all later.